All right, welcome everyone into episode 24 of the Hooley Brothers podcast, the Jack Bauer episode, the King Griffey Jr. episode. We're here after a bit of a layoff. We had kind of a double
And Kobe.
episode last week. And Kobe, right? I'm forgetting some. I just remember what I threw on your birthday Instagram last year. But yeah, been a little bit of a layoff here. We had like kind of a double episode last week, probably almost 2 hours worth of content in the middle of the week. Had a bit of a crazy weekend between the two of us, so but it was almost good timing that we had. We were coming off of two long episodes before having this 6-day layoff here, and I know I just saw you a couple of days this weekend, Mike. But how's it going? How's your Tuesday?
Not bad. Luckily, I'm very lucky to have first shot of the vaccine, so nothing quite yet, but we'll see. Happy to be a part of the future going forward. So
you'll get the Paul George tape job going.
Yeah, that might be in. Hopefully not today, but I kind of expect that in 4 weeks.
Yeah. But yeah, we're back, and that's another thing too. I think we might have even thought about Sunday, and then at that point, it's like, well, now it is the final day of the Masters, so you might as well kind of wait at that point. And like I said, we got a bit of craziness. So we'll talk about it a little bit more at the end, but I guess that's the best place to lead off. We had kind of a two-part episode for middle of last week, and the second half of that was the Masters with our guy Dave. We did a bit of a preview there, and I think that's just the best place to lead off. Probably the biggest event of the weekend, coming off of March Madness and the finale there. Three other leagues also in action, but I think the Masters is an obvious starting point here, coming off of Sunday's performance. Again, glad to have the Masters back in April. I know we had back in October was kind of the off-season one that Dustin won, but good to have it back in April, kind of right after March Madness, springtime, the azaleas, all that. But don't want to complain too much, but not that dramatic.
Yeah, the only one-stroke victory is very deceiving. There's a 4
It is. It's like when a team comes back in basketball and they're like, oh, they only lost by like 5. It's like, well, it was like a 20-point game.
Yeah, they had the backdoor cover on the buzzer beater.
Right. Yeah. But yeah. So obviously Hideki Matsuyama, congrats to him. Great performance there all weekend. It seems like Saturday was kind of the big day, moving day as they call it. Because Justin Rose got out to the huge start after Thursday. Looked like he might run away with it, and it's funny that it ended up being someone else who, again, we say run away with it. It was a one-stroke lead, but it was never truly in doubt kind of going into the final few holes there because he had the wiggle room. He used the wiggle room, but was obviously able to come up victorious there.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Justin Rose had a 65 on round 1, and then I think even through the first half, he had a couple strokes up, and I think he was as high as -9. Then he really just leveled off the rest of the tournament with finishing out at 72, 72, 74, and finishing at -5 in 7th place. But we really did see just what happened on Saturday. I was able to watch a little bit of it, and then I went away from the TV. It was kind of like it looked like it was going to be good, and then I got to the next location I was at, and I saw it was a 4-stroke lead by Matsuyama out of nowhere. It seemed like he kind of just really had dominating Saturday afternoon. Finished with 65 of his own. And I was able to enter the day at a -11, with the next closest people being at I think there's a 3-way tie for second at -7. So that's the thing that's so key about getting a big lead these days, because you can just play the par the entire way.
Yeah.
You don't have to get too
greedy.
Even
bogey here and there,
Yeah, you don't have to get too greedy. You just play your game, and you only really need to be pretty proactive when someone's up your tail.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Saturday too. I think the unfortunate thing up here, well, the good and bad, is it was like the first nice day. Like really, I mean, there's been some peaks. Like everyone's like, first nice day of the year, and you probably say that a few times. But it was 70 degrees, which is like, I was on t-shirt and shorts and stuff. I was on a t-shirt and shorts, biking around, just getting some food, getting some drinks everywhere. So that's hard because you obviously want to be able to sit down and watch some of the Masters. Might be ideal if it's sunny but a little chillier out. If you want to stay inside and watch me, once the weather hit that, I'm like, I got to get out, especially in towards the end of quarantine here. You got to take advantage of any time you can get outside. But yeah, that was truly the big moving day, as you said, for Matsuyama. Shot a 65 there, and then really going into Sunday, it seemed like it might not be super dramatic, but a few guys tried making plays. We saw Xander make a run, Zalatoris again. The young guy really making a move there, but neither one were truly able to put the entire day together to catch up the Decky.
Yeah, Schaffel was, again, as I said, I'll get to this later, it's my pick to win, so I threw a little tiny little bit that would have been a lot of money if they end up winning.
Trying to win the big.
Yeah, so I went the beak a little bit there, but I think the front nine was kind of like really got to me. He couldn't really get past that -7 threshold, and he couldn't really get there. So when he had the 4 straight birdies to go into 16, you got to really think, man, if he just picked up like 1 or 2 strokes in that front nine, he would have been right there at the tie, not down 2 or 3 left, where he had to be really aggressive. And then he hit it in the drink. And
it did not work. Yeah, it did not work.
And he had the interview after him, like he was a little mad, but like I kind of like you can't really call it a joke because as he was saying, he was like, I was chasing, I had to make a big shot. I got to take.
You had to go for 2 there, not 3.
Yeah, he was like usually it's like it was either like left to right, and he had to go right to left, or when he was more comfortable going the other way around, and he had like flipping around, and he was like, yeah, I just like biffed the shot or something like that. He said something like
right. I mean, yeah, because without a shot like that, he might not be able to catch up. But it's funny though, because you don't know this at the time. Again, hindsight's 2020, and maybe Hideki plays the other holes differently as well. But it ends up being such a small lead that even if he does par there or even bogeys, like again, you're right in the mix there with Hideki. It might be a force of playoff, but again, you're not going to know that at the time. So yeah,
I think he was very much playing for a bogey on the last hole.
Yeah. Oh, Hideki. Yeah, that's true. But no, I'm saying like Xander, if he was even able to par there, and even if say you give Hideki a par, like it plays out a little bit differently, but it's you have to play it 1 hole at a time there. But yeah, tough break for Xander on 16. Zalatoris again, he's like you said, he was just kind of he kept hanging around, made moves there, made moves here, but he wasn't able to quite close the gap. And you have to give props to Hideki because what did he shoot? 1 over on
73.
Yeah, he finished at 10. So, and again, I think he could have easily played par. So again, he didn't screw up too much. So he definitely got the pressure on. That's why you build that lead like you do on Saturday. Give yourself some wiggle room. So that even if again Zalatoris had a great Sunday, it just wasn't enough to come back there. So he ultimately does finish in 2nd place and a good showing for the youngster there.
Nice 1.2 million in 2nd place, not bad.
What's that?
1.2 million in 2nd place, not bad.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I mean, and then just kind of like rounding out some of the other top players here. Spieth and Rahm were again they hung around as well. They both shot 66 on Sunday. They round out the top.
Rahm, sorry, that was bad parentheses on my outline.
On the stat sheet, yeah.
Rahm at a 66 on Sunday. He was even for the first 3 days, and then railing off. So that's one thing. Rahm will probably look back on the tournament and just be like, if he just had a couple above average days instead of just average, he would have been right there. Where Spieth was just the model of consistency with 71, 68, 72, and 7.
I can't get too mad at you there. You did the stat sheet. So, you did the work. I can't blame you too much there. So yeah, they round out the top 5. Tony Finau, my pick, which I'm glad I didn't actually put money down. I was almost kicking myself because I forgot how early the Masters started on Thursday, and I was like, oh, so he didn't win. So thanks, Tony. You didn't cost me any money there, but what was that, Mike? Sorry.
-3 top of 10.
Yeah. Solid showing though for Tony Finau. Yeah. Friday, so good round from we were talking about Bryson a lot with Dave on Wednesday night's show. Friday he played well on a Friday to make the cut, but just struggled all weekend really.
Yeah, I think let me see, finished out +5, and so he was 76 on the first day, +4. And I know our shot 67. It's like, okay, he's gonna be back in it, and then finished 75 with the +5 final. And just like the Masters seem to be giving him some trouble, whether it's November or April.
Absolutely, yeah. Again, he seems like a real driving range champion. We'll have to see. I mean, and I know he's played good golf, but just like something he said, the Masters, he's unable to kind of put it all together.
Seems like he'd be if he's gonna win, it'll be either US or PGA.
I agree. He's not classy enough to win the Masters or go over the pond. I don't know why it doesn't make sense, but I agree. He just seems like one of those guys that I think either PGA or US Open, and I bet he wins by like 7 strokes. It's not going to be close. He's just going to come out hot Friday and
pulled it out literally because he's a bulky guy. I mean, this guy is definitely more muscular, but that Brooks is two of both PGA and US, so I kind of just went that to be a big.
No, but I could see Brooks winning any of them though. But just like Bryson, he's gonna run away with one. I know it. But yeah, so he struggled all weekend, but was able to make the cut. A few big names that didn't make the cut. Brooks, as you were mentioning before, but he's injured, so that doesn't really count. We'll give Brooks a pass on that one. He showed up. He showed up and gave it a shot.
Got his 10K.
The defending, what's that?
Got his 10K.
Yeah, I mean, he looked good in that pink too. When he was playing earlier in the weekend.
He won for the game. Like we all owe him a round of applause, just for
Yeah,
getting a few
exactly. DJ, the defending champion, he misses the cut as well, so he kind of just had to stick around all weekend, which is kind of funny. I would like to, at the very least, make the cut from the defending champion, just that I'm playing out there on Sunday. He just, again, you're done Friday, but you got to stick around till 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock on Sunday night just to put the jacket on Hideki.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing. Like, you like to think that the guys that this could be their only Masters are only going to be here a couple times. We'll probably just stay the weekend regardless.
Yeah.
But DJ's been there, done that.
He's a huge player. Number one in the world, right?
Yeah. Go back home to Paulina.
Yeah, well, no complaint there. But and then Rory, I think Mike, you called this one. I know this transitioned into your next bullet here that you sort of nailed your picks, but Rory does not make the cut here at the Masters.
Shuffle is my pick, and the fact that he was top 3 and was flirting with the win at some point, not bad. And I picked
Who was that? I'm sorry,
Xander.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then the fact that I said if Brooks is either going to be healthy enough to win it all or just not healthy enough at all. That was really a bold take, but that was a take I had that was correct. And
you really wouldn't be in the mix. The buy.
He wasn't going to get a top 15. He was either going to make the cut or
win or yeah.
So, I mean, that wasn't that bold of a take. That seemed like a lot of people were saying.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say that I said it. And then I said Rory would be the guy to make the cut. I just had a bad feeling about it. I missed the cut. I had a bad feeling about it. And I was right.
Well, yeah, you did have a high finisher there. You was it win show and place if there were horses you would have placed with Xander there, and then like you and Dave's boys, Hovland. Hovland or Hovland? I never know. I'm thinking I got Jay-Z in my head. I'm like Hovland makes the cut. Berger does not. So, and then I always think Donnie Berger from without that's my point.
That's the only reason why I picked them to be my guy. I was like, Donnie Berger, especially because it's D, it's Danny. So, him and Ryan's boy Homer both missed it by 1 stroke, but +4 for the weekend. And Hovland was just modeled consistently, just even. And I think he was just -1 one day, +1 the other, and back-to-back even. So, not a bad first showing for
absolutely
them.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as always, saw Phil out there. He was kind of just like, did he finish even, or like was he hovering around even?
I think he finished at even. Yes, but
yeah, perfect.
He literally he made the cut.
Left the way he showed up.
Made the cut by the skin of his teeth. Had a nice -3 Saturday.
Yeah,
and it was just like the one guy to watch in the morning, and he shot 72. So it was just good to see him.
Yeah. So I mean, we had no Tiger, obviously. So we had no Tiger. We got some Phil. Just wrapping up here. No amateurs make the cut. There's usually one that sneaks through, right? And then
that's why there's none of the ceremony.
We didn't see this.
There's usually like the low amateur in the cabin.
Right. So that's true. And
there was only 3. So
there's never usually a lot, though. I think it is usually about 3 or 4. And but something just and that's actually good that we kind of had as the final point here because that ties it all together with the final product here because Hideki Matsuyama 10 years ago was the low amateur at the Masters back in 2011. So a nice story from him, kind of a 10-year arc to getting to the Masters. He's 19 then, 29 now. Japan's first major winner, the first Asian player to win the Masters. So 2 huge milestones there for Hideki. I know he had a lot of people watching back home. Luckily, it was 8 a.m. for them, I think, when it wrapped up, so it wasn't too bad. I'm sure they had to get up early to see the initial tee there, but really great for him. Seems like a real great guy. Class act from his caddy, giving the bow after the win at 18. So that's awesome. Always great to see.
I gotta love when people respect the course. And speaking of caddies, love how Zalatoris looks like the caddy from Happy Gilmore, at least the original.
Oh
one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the one that gets assigned to him. He's
at the Waterbury Open
on the ground. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, that was great. He did look a lot like him. But no, that's the thing too. As much as I wanted to be competitive on Sunday, I was like, well, I don't want Hideki to completely choke it because I did want him to win. I almost wanted like someone to either tie him or take the lead briefly and then him still win. So
yeah, I think I just wanted like Like, yeah, like I didn't want him to choke. Like if Xander was able to get to like a -9, like that's it.
Right, like shoot like a six, like
Well,
shoot
no,
like a
it
68 to
was
70.
12-10 going to 16. So even if like it was just like 11-11 going to a playoff, like
Yeah, so where Matsuyama played even the whole round. Yeah, like I'd rather someone come take it versus him,
yeah,
kind of give up some strokes there. But yeah, so Hideki Matsuyama, the 2021 Masters champion. Like we said, what mid-May is the PGA, and they switched the order around for the playoffs. Slash, like I know the Olympics is every 4 years too, but
yeah, I think the 20th,
20th of May. All right,
20th to the 23rd.
yeah, we get them all kind of jam packed now, right? Because it used to be, I mean, they were always very close, but now it's like literally like, was it one a month for 4 months?
Yeah, because it'll be Father's Day for US
And
Open,
then
and then
British Open usually mid July,
yeah, I'll say
or the Open Championship. Sorry.
I don't hate it. I mean, it does stink. Now it's
No,
like,
I like it. I like it.
yeah, because like it is like kind of like spaces, like kind of like I feel
Keeps
like,
it keeps your focus.
I mean, I'm gonna miss it in August, but I feel like there's always like a decent tournament in August. Like,
Yeah. Well, the Olympics this year too. And then you're getting into kind of the playoff race for baseball before football comes back. I feel like it's like my peak. Baseball's like July to August.
Yeah. After the
but
Classic to football.
Yeah, and we'll get into baseball in a bit here, but we'll start with as we move off the Masters here. Actually, no, one more thing I want to bring up. I really want to try one of those pimento cheese sandwiches, and then they seem real affordable, obviously too. Once you pay all the money to go there,
I want to try what Van Pelt was saying today. The chicken
salad,
the brioche.
chicken salad, right?
Chicken salad and brioche.
I'd have to get both. I would have to get both to like compare. I just know the pimento's like seems like the like old school, new school type thought. But no, that it would be awesome to go 1 year. That's great. But yeah, as we transition here, we'll go to some NBA again. I know we kind of, much like I kind of cast aside the MLB to the side in September sometimes when football starts up, and then it dive back in. Same thing with we had the tournament last month or so. So NBA's kind of been on the back burner, keeping an eye on it, but not watching too intensely. But now's the time to hop back in. Again, we're usually I think the playoffs usually start. I think this would be kind of like the last nights of the regular season would be tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah,
on a normal year,
into the cup run right now.
Yeah, I think the cup playoffs would have started tonight, but yeah, because NBA usually starts on the Saturday, so I think
it would be tomorrow. It's usually Wednesday, Saturday.
Yeah, I'm saying the NBA would have wrapped up like tonight and tomorrow, and then the playoffs would have started Saturday. But obviously, with the COVID delay and everything's pushed back a little bit, so we have a bit more of the season to go. So I guess we'll start like we usually do with the hometown teams. So last time we were recording, I was watching the Celtics versus Philly, which was
Tuesday.
But those are in part one, right? Yeah, because I was going to say, I thought I watched the Knicks game. Yeah, so it was during the part one of recording, which is the two of us. Portland showing versus Philly, who is, again, they're right there with Brooklyn for the 1 seed in the East. They've obviously had a great year here. But, yeah, that was a tough showing. But they're kind of, they're getting, I don't want to say hot because it's been, 3 games. But, again, we're able to equal out against the Knicks. Some big Marcus Smart shots late in that game. All the haters were sick and hated to see it. And then obviously wrapped up with, and I just want to give kind of a quick overview and then kind of get into more detail here. They were able to put up a good run against the Nuggets on Sunday. Or sorry, first it was the Timberwolves game, and we'll get into more details there. And then I was able to hold off against the Nuggets at the start of their West Coast road trip. I don't really count Minnesota. That doesn't really count.
That was in Boston too.
That was in Boston. I was going to say I can't even.
It's the shortest West Coast trip ever. It's just three stops.
Is it only 3 stops?
Yeah,
I thought there were 3 games this week alone, and then they started in Denver.
No,
I could be wrong.
They played 2 Western on both sides of the trip. There's 2 Western Conference teams coming to Boston with Minnesota.
Okay.
Minnesota lost Friday. Then it's Denver Sunday. They're playing Portland tonight. The Lakers on Thursday, and then Golden State's coming to us on Saturday.
Okay. I just thought I saw a bunch of 10 o'clocks, but it probably was just this week. So, obviously, again, I'm getting into my old age here. I probably won't make the one tonight, but the Laker game, maybe if it's a Thursday, we'll see. But then after that, then I'm probably fully back in here. But yeah, so again, a close one against the Knicks, but then Friday night, and again, I was just you're doing whatever on a Friday night with the lady here. So I didn't quite catch that one, but then I saw the alert on my phone, and our guy Tatum dropped a 50 burger.
Yeah, it seemed like a pretty wild game. I mean, no defense at all. Like I believe even with overtime, it was like 140, 130, like 140 something, 130 something. But still, even with overtime, it's pretty high scoring even in today's NBA.
Yeah. And obviously, you don't want to be, having to go to overtime against the Timberwolves, especially I know it's D'Angelo's first game back. But either way, impressive. We haven't seen either of these guys go for 50 yet until that night. So 53 is the final tally for Tatum.
Hey, I'm going back in ESPN. Just want to make sure we covered.
Okay, yeah.
It was
okay.
8.5 minute spread. It scored them 21-12 in overtime. Man, 21 points in 4 minutes.
That's a lot. Yeah, five. Jeez. So yeah, they're able.
Oh, yeah,
What's that, Mike?
Just like looking at the box score. Towns at 30, Edwards at 24, and Russell at 26. So didn't really.
So really just a poor defensive showing because Minnesota brought the offense that night. Clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was also 26 from Brown, 24 from Smart, 17 from Walker. So seemed like the starters. Yeah, it just seemed like a track meet back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, but great to see. What's that?
Opposite on Sunday, though.
Yeah, so we'll get to that. Like I said, so kind of wrapping up there. Tatum scored 53, so great to see him with a great performance that night on Friday, and then Sunday was kind of a weird one because we were together at our parents on Sunday, Mike, and kind of a lot to balance. We had the Masters going on, the Red Sox are playing, Celtics started obviously in the mid afternoon there. And for a while, it was funny. I think we both did the same thing. We were checking on the score of the Celtics game because they were down early in that game by a pretty significant margin there.
14 points, I think. I think it was like 76-62 at one point. Denver.
Yeah. And then we checked the box score in the fourth quarter. I think it was like a 12-point game, and we're like, oh yeah, they're still losing this game. And we both read the score backwards. We're winning by 12 points, and it's because of that final 40-8 run that the Celtics went on to end that game. Yeah, you heard me right. 40-8 to beat the Nuggets. And, really, again, that's a top tier team. And, we'll obviously, following that game and into last night's game, obviously, tough to see that Jamal Murray goes down with the torn ACL. You hate to see that. But again, at the time, obviously, Murray playing in that game, and, Denver's a tough team to beat, especially on the road.
Yeah.
They've always had trouble in Denver. It's almost like the Patriots, like going out. It's just, just something about that. So, but they had a really strong performance to end that game. So they are starting to turn things around at the right time.
Yeah, I just mentioned the schedule coming up. This is kind of like a big stretch for them because I mentioned they have some Western Conference teams. Like I know even the Lakers are a little banged up right now.
Yeah.
But they did actually beat the Nets on Saturday night. But so between that and then they got some Eastern Conference teams above us in the standings with the Nets and 2 games against the Hornets the rest of April too. So I'll be looking at these last 2 weeks of April to see okay, is this team what we need or what we want? I mean, or the team that we want them to be like a 4 seed that can, if everything gets hot, maybe with a good matchup, play well. But knowing them, they'll just be very Jekyll and Hyde still, like beat the Trailblazers tonight and lose the Lakers, let Dennis Schroeder and Kyle Kuzma beat them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But sorry, just have a connection unstable. I just want to make sure we were good there. But yeah, so I agree, Mike. I think a lot of this is going to be very telling the last month or so, the push to the playoffs here. It's a tough matchup tonight with the Blazers. Our old friend Edis Cantor put up 30 rebounds on Saturday night, which is absolutely insane. It sounds like a Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain style, and not a comparison, just saying. I don't really see those numbers these days. That seems like something that would happen against the Celtics. That's the only time I'd ever believe it, like an Andre Drummond type game. But they obviously have the 10 o'clock tip-off tonight in Portland. Real tight. We've mentioning it before, but it's getting real tight. I know we're getting technically 10 playoff teams in, but as far as the 4 through 8 right now, separated by just a game and a half between Atlanta, Miami, Charlotte, Boston, and New York. So we'll have to see how all that shakes out. Again, in my head, these aren't bad teams, but maybe outside of Miami, the Celtics are better than all these teams. What are we doing down here?
Yeah,
there's no reason they shouldn't come in fourth.
Yeah, we got to go on a little bit of a run, just like, okay, we're not going to be the 3 seed, just like kind of like distance yourself from a couple teams, or like the last game of the regular season, you can like rest a guy.
I feel like they're going to get to the 4 seed and then lose to Miami again. That's what's going to happen. Like they'll like give you all the hope that they're playing well, and then they'll lose to Miami. But I mean, yeah, because I think everything just to avoid one of those, top 3 teams in the first round. And then I'm torn because part of me almost wants Brooklyn to get the 1 seed, just so that when we lose, it's a little bit easier to handle and wrap my head around. It's like, well, we ran into Brooklyn. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But then another part of me obviously wants Philly to finish there because, like, well, could we? Because I don't think they can be Philly. So I'd almost rather just get it over with, lose to Brooklyn, and say we lost to like the Eastern Conference champs or I always say national champs, the NBA champs for the year. So we'll have to see. Again, this will be a tight race for the 4 spots. See where 4th through 8 shake out, and then it looks like at the moment we have Indiana and Chicago trying to squeak their way in the playoffs as well. So they're sitting at 7 right now, but it's very, very jam packed because this is something that always bothers me. So like we're 28 and 26. What's that?
The Southeast, man, the division.
Yeah, well, it's just I'm saying, like, it bothers me that that there's math in here somewhere, I'm sure, but the 28 and 26 is worse than 27 and 25. It's one of those weird things because they're technically tied with Charlotte right now.
Technically, we've lost more games than them.
But we've won more than them.
When they can.
The theory is like, oh, well, like if they won, that's true. We can't unlose a game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, very, very tight out there.
With expertise,
some people what?
Because expertise like that, that's how people get to these listeners. Unlose a game. I'm just like joking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't get this. Yeah, you don't get these numbers crunched on any podcast. And then looking at the Western Conference, quick, Utah's still sitting at top. Suns holding their ground at the number 2 seed.
We also have the Suns coming to us. That was the game I forgot. Suns are coming to play the Celtics next Tuesday between the I think it's between the Warriors and the Nets, I believe, or the first one. Or I think it's Warriors, Suns, and either Nets.
That's a stretch there, all right.
Either that or there's a Hornets game in the middle.
Either way, tough stretch coming up. But yeah, so the big drop off seems to be after 3 because the Clippers are 3.5 back at Utah, and then you get into Denver, who again, I can't say it. Jamal Murray was so electric in the bubble last year, and just a great guy to watch in the playoffs. And it really just sucks. It happened with 50 seconds left in the game. It wasn't a close game either. Yeah. I think the Nuggets were going to lose that game no matter what, and you see him go out with a torn ACL, just awful.
Yeah, he just did not want to pack his bags last year, and the fact that he got hurt very, very late in the game was just.
He outright refused to pack.
Yeah,
outright refused to pack his bags. But yeah, so we have. I mean, they're sitting in the 4th spot now with the Lakers at 5, 2 banged up teams right there now. Portland might make a bit of a push now if Denver falls down and the Lakers still. Are waiting on LeBron and AD, so we'll see if they sneak into that 4-5 game. You might want to stay where you are. I don't know if you want to run into the Lakers in a 4-5 matchup again if you're Portland, especially once they get healthy.
Yeah, then Chuck's gonna start guaranteeing wins and stuff like that.
Guarantee. And then Dallas and Memphis in the 7-8 spots. Then San Antonio and Golden State. Golden State could be pesky. I don't know if they'll win the series against those top tier teams, but Denver's Utah would be very entertaining because it just seems like if we're ever in today's NBA going to get an 8-over-1, it'd be something like that.
Yeah, it just seems like the matchup would be like, oh boy, because like if the bracket breaks that way, it's like the Warriors, and if there's someone get past them, you get the Lakers in the second round. Like that'd be so like Utah, like.
Right, exactly.
Everything's good going for them.
Yeah. So that pretty much again wraps that up. We'll have to keep an eye as far as the macro NBA goes. Obviously, like I said, I think the big thing in the East is that matchup between Philly and Brooklyn, and we'll have to see who ends up with that number 1 seed there. We'll obviously get back into the whole NBA scene now. The tournament's over, and we're past the Masters, and we're kind of into NBA, NHL, MLB mode here. So we'll obviously keep an eye on that. Celtics again tip off tonight. We'll see how they do on the final 2 of this West Coast road trip before coming back. So moving on, Bees good?
Did not see that. Did not expect to wake up.
Bees making some moves at the trading deadline here. So again, coming off a 2-3 week, they lost 2 out of 3 to Philly, and then they lost big to Washington 8-1 the other day.
Yeah, I think this might have been some COVID rearranging because we had back-to-back games, and I think in 2 different cities on Monday, Tuesday. We were able to split that against Philly. Went to Washington on Thursday. Had a great win in Washington. Got Swayman, the new kid. He's been playing pretty well for them. And then they lost a tough one on Saturday to Philly, and then come back on Sunday night. Got Darth Ladar in net, and boy, did he get back to his playoff ways. Like, he looked pretty good coming back, but he looked like his playoff self, letting in goals left and right. And they lost 8-1, and everyone was like, "Oh, geez!" Like, that seemed like to be the final trigger for Donnie Boy to make some moves. Because I get it, because there's like, this is like, you're like, they're like, "Oh, you got to sell. This team's going nowhere." But it's the type of team. It's like, oh, like,
they're so on the precipice. It's like it's going to go one way or the other. And this seems like, again, a lot of the guys are getting older too.
Yeah. That's like age wise. Like, this doesn't seem like where they are. It's like, okay, you're going to sell, or you're still going to be halfway decent. Like, if you're selling Bergeron,
right,
Pasternak, like, they'll keep you in some things. Like, again, like, oh, you might want to. That's why I kind of agreed to, like, the only thing, like, you had to, like, kind of go either ways. Like, you should call some guys, but if you didn't have anything and someone was like, "I'll give you this for Krejci," you're probably like, "Yeah, I guess so." But the fact that they got these guys for pretty much virtually nothing, it was amazing.
Yeah, and we'll get into some of the details here, but Mike, like, yeah, kind of going off what you said, this isn't like a team made up of 20 somethings or whatever. You have Bergeron, you have Krejci, you have Marchand, you have Tuca and that. I mean, you talk about a team that's like, again, you might as well go for it. And especially, this isn't like the NBA or even, that's one extreme, not even quite the NFL. It's more baseball and hockey. I think hockey is even getting more like this. Maybe not, but like, it almost is one of those leagues. It's a complete crapshoot. Again, 2 years ago, we saw Tampa get absolutely demolished after winning the President's Trophy in the first round on one side, which paved the way for the Bruins. And then who did they run into? A team that was in I think dead last or second to last, like halfway through the season. The Blues win the Stanley Cup. You don't see that in any other sport. So NHL is the ultimate. Just get in. Just get in the tournament, get in the dance, and you have a chance to win this thing.
Yeah, like, I think two of, like, the hotter goalie runs I can remember, like, not including Tim Thomas, is probably Matt Murray, but the Penguins winning back-to-back years. He's now, like, I think the Ottawa goalie, and it's terrible. And Binnington for the Blues, like I just mentioned, and then he hasn't like, he's been okay, but like nothing as good as that cup run. Like, he looked like he was gonna be a lead, like, young goaltender. Now he's just like, he looks like the guy on the Providence Bruins. Like, like he could be a starter. Like, he's good, but like not like that good.
Yeah, I think it's just the ultimate. It's the ultimate sport to just go. Like just I think the dividing line of like buyer and seller, it's got to be like lower down than in any other sport, because it's just just go for it. So I'm glad to see the Bruins get aggressive. So just summing up what happened yesterday, they were able to acquire Mike Riley, not to give you a Sarge on the Sports Hub, from Ottawa for a 2022 third round pick, and then the big bombshell that dropped when I kind of opened my phone on Monday morning here is acquiring 2017-18 MVP, former number 1 overall pick Taylor Hall, and Curtis Lazar for Buffalo for Anders Bjork at a 2021 second round pick. And again, a very casual hockey fan here, and again, I know these names that are coming through here, and I think that these are tremendous additions for the Bruins.
Yeah, it seemed like they didn't give much. I think, like, they were saying, the fact that, like, Hall's been on some, like, mediocre at best teams lately. Like, I think he's between, like, the Devils, the Coyotes, and now the Sabres. He's been on a couple teams in a couple years in a town like that. You're like, something might be going on there. So they're able to acquire them pretty low. Like, the fact that they really get a former MVP in the last couple of years that's still producing for only a second round pick. Like, I mean, Bjork was a good prospect that I've heard about his name for years. So I think, like, between the two, they're like, oh, we get the one, like, player that might give him value is like DeBrusk or Boyk. I think a lot of people are saying trade DeBrusk because he's a little bit better and get more from him.
More value.
The fact they're like, you got Taylor Hall for Bjork, like, that seemed like that's kind of like the best they would have. Like, if someone like told you, like, on Saturday, like, we'll do that deal with DeBrusk, and it's like, oh, if you can get that much for DeBrusk, sure. And it's like, oh wait, it was only Bjork. At least that's what I think I'm understanding, but. Like, I seem like anyone's like, if you get someone else, get a puck in the net for them for a young piece and a draft pick. I think people are willing to get rid of a first for him. So I think this seems like on paper like a really good deal.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, bro, they're making moves. They're definitely going for it here. They are back in action tonight against Buffalo, actually. Oh, what about that story too? About weren't they coming from Buffalo or something like I don't know. There's some story about how he. Oh no, the Sabres were flying to Boston, right? And then he just
Yeah.
insisted on driving.
Yeah.
Very very weird. It's like no, I will drive there.
Well, maybe he had things that he wanted to bring, like.
Yeah, true.
And he's saying he's already willing to resign, like talk extension. So
Bring him in. I just remember being back in high school. That's how long ago this was. Like I remember like the whole him and Sagan thing, and like, oh yeah, Sagan's really good, but this kid like Taylor Hall, like, but I remember like, oh, they only have the 2 pick. I was like, don't even get me started the whole Sagan thing. I could go for days on that. But great to see Taylor Hall. What's that?
The Louis Erickson.
Yeah. Oh my god. But yeah, kind of going in NHL as a whole. But I'm sorry, Mike. Did you have another point there? I kind of jumped in on that Taylor Hall point.
I was just saying the fact that it's funny that we've gotten both of them in the black and blue, black and gold. Jesus.
Hall
Taking
and Sagan,
Hall
yeah.
like over the course of their career. Like, how you're saying like, I kind of wanted Hall, but I'll take Sagan. It's like, well, 10 years later, you got Hall.
Right, yeah. But Sagan's probably, well, actually, no, yeah, Hall did win MVP. I mean,
Yeah.
Sagan can't say that. So
That was ridiculous.
they both ended up being pretty good. Yeah. So, but yeah, just kind of getting in. I know we kind of just looking at the NHL as a whole, and yeah, we definitely have to have, I guess, maybe my guy Nick to get a little recap after the trade. See what we think in the final stretch here, and then we'll actually have to do that again come playoff time. But just taking again a quick look around the standings here. Bees are kind of hanging in at that 4th spot in the East. A lot of the divisions are pretty packed across the top. Tampa Bay and Carolina in the Central tied there. Washington and the Islanders both at first place in the East. Toronto leading the North, and then Colorado and Vegas and fighting it out West.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty fun to see. Like I think like the race for 4th in a couple divisions, including us with Philly, and I think like between like Nashville and Chicago could be some couple good races, and then go for first place to like, get maybe these lower level teams and like get out of like the 2-3 slugfests you're going to see across all the divisions playoffs. So should be an intriguing stretch run. Yeah,
and it's basically like in division like mini Final Four. Like it's almost like mini Final Fours to one giant final, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's like the regions. It's like it would be like the regions if everyone finished one.
It's almost like the it's actually a good transition. It's almost like the Frozen Four, where you have the 4 regions of 4. So yeah, while we're on hockey, I guess we have to give a shout out to remember when the state of Minnesota blew a 3-1 lead against UMass? I know all 3 didn't play them, but still, they went into that tournament with some COVID troubles. And you had, because I forget the bracket. Was it Minnesota State first or no? They played
St. Cloud State in the final, and they beat Minnesota Duluth. It was St. Cloud State beat Minnesota State.
Yeah, and then. So yeah, they came in looking like the one of these things doesn't look like the other, mainly because of COVID. Just again they were able to win their first game, get healthy, get some guys back, and absolutely demolished them. And then the final was it a 5-0 or 5-1?
5-0. It was just, I think they just got on them early, and then it was a ridiculous like Sports Center highlight shorthanded goal. They go up 3-0 by UMass to be in the second period, and it was all over from there.
So yeah, I mean, again, I'm a little bitter because, like I said, I feel like BC could have made a run this year, but they got rocked in the second round because they got a free pass to the second round after Notre Dame had a bow out because of COVID. But great to see some Northeast representing some Hockey East. I always forget who's in Hockey East and not, but great to see them. I know we had Providence a while back too, so we're representing up here. We have to take away from the Midwest there and the Minnesota region. So always good to see someone out here 1-1.
Yeah, it's good to
see. Except for BU.
I was going to say, it's good to see, no offense to you, good to see a non-BCBU teams win the last couple of years.
BC's coming up on 10 years now since they've won. Since my freshman year. But anyway, so I had to give a shout out to them. But yeah, so that's kind of what the NHL playoffs will look like. But yeah, so we're getting into the final stretch run of both NBA and NHL. Again, we're usually starting the playoffs around this time of year, but we have the extra month or so push to get into the playoffs there. Now let's move on to some baseball. And are the Red Sox going to lose again? Because I don't know if they are. I mean, I was trashing the team probably a week ago at this point after their 0-3 start, but they've won 6 in a row now.
7.
7 today, right? Yeah,
because I did this before the game went final. So
right, 2 sweeps and then their first game in Minnesota after the delay yesterday.
Yeah, so I remember you mentioned that you were watching the Philly Boston game from basketball, and I'm kind of in this little stretch run before the playoffs starts. So I want to get kind of really into the baseball season before I.
I have too. I've done my whole spiel about YouTube TV and Nesson. That's the reason why I'm like, it's so much easier to watch the Celtics, but I do want to watch the Red Sox.
I have the MLB app too. I'll get to this when I talk about my recap in a little bit. But I was watching that game on Tuesday.
Yeah,
and it was wild last Tuesday on Fenway. It was that Frenchie Cordero catch against the monster. That wasn't really a catch.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then we had the Moon Man, Christian Vasquez, hitting a home run in the 9th inning to force extras. And then that was really back and forth because the whole running on second.
Oh, the game went to extras, right? Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And then JD was able to hit the home run. I mean, not the home run, the walk-off hit. Got like a Rosarina tied around. And I feel like that. I was watching.
Oh, over his head, yeah.
I was watching that game. The difference between 2-3 and 1-4 there.
Oh, absolutely.
And the fact that they had to come back multiple times, like they were down in the 9th. Like if Rosarina catches that ball, they lost. It wasn't like going to the next inning. That was a 2-run single, quote unquote.
Right.
So that seemed like a season-changing victory that night. And since then, they went on to roll over roll the next day against Tampa to complete the sweep. Kind of rolled on Friday, had another come from behind win without JD on Saturday, and then.
Oh yeah.
And then
the non-COVID game, the non-COVID illness game, but then and then on Sunday, kind of leading into that, JD with 3 home runs, and a game that probably should have been a runaway, but Baltimore kept kind of sneaking back in here. What was it? Was the final 14-9 or
14 now? 14-9. Got a Exxon Valdez couldn't really do a job in the game.
Yeah, so got a little bit closer in the end, but yeah, JD at the night after. Having a bout. I think a lot of people thought it might have been COVID, but it was just some other illness. Yeah, it's a little cold.
And then don't forget, Rafi Devers had 2 home runs in that game.
Right, yeah. Because I was reading
Thursday, Saturday, no game Friday. So 3 straight games of home run. And then today, another come from behind victory by them. He had a boom bomb of a home run in the 9th inning to get some insurance. And Bobby Dahlbeck had a great game today. 2 big opposite field doubles. He had a really slow start to the year. So this lineup is cooking right now, looking really good, and they're getting enough pitching. Even Martin Perez looked awful on the snow today to start the game, but was able to gut him out in 5 innings. So I'm hooked on this team, man. I'm loving them.
Yeah, no, I mean I
was like the fact that I think five of their wins have all been come from behind, and it just seems like you got to talk to the manager because it seemed like today, especially, I was listening to a little radio today. They were down 2-0. It was like snowing there. I think Cora was like started clapping and dapping and run up in like the 4th inning. I was like, come on, okay, like I get it, it's cold. Let's go for them too. Like let's get something going. And it seemed to it really came from the bottom of the lineup today. So
yeah, no, I agree. It's like early on, I'm like, I really want to get in this team, and I'm like, those 3 losses out of the gate. I'm just like, this isn't how to draw me in. But hey, they've bounced back. We said 7 games in a row, so they're looking hot and really good and really. Yeah, like I said, bringing a lot of energy too. It's not, just they're kind of mixing it up, right? They're not winning just games just like 2-0, and they're not just winning games, 14-5 or but they're gutting some of these out. They're looking dominant and some a good mix going on there. Did you see that clip today? I only caught part of it on video. That foul ball run after by Williams on Minnesota. Where he knew his hat was gonna fall off, so he didn't want him to drop it. So he's just running with that in his hand. He didn't get it. He didn't quite get there, but just if you've seen it, he's a bit pudgy. So just funny to see.
His nickname is La Tortuga. So
that was RJ Ibarra in the 2014 Firebirds. That was his nickname as well.
I actually love that guy because I'm in an AL only fantasy league, so it was 2019. I just was like, I needed to draft a second catcher because only 10 teams, 2 catchers, sure, whatever. But I was like, let me just draft this Ostalito dude. And then I sort of, one game I was watching, he was in, like, this is what he looks like. This is awesome.
This guy's awesome, yeah. But yeah, so Sox look great. Um, Good start to the year. Again, the delay due to kind of the everything happening in Minneapolis yesterday. They'll have a double dip tomorrow.
Mhm.
Not really sure how that, because I know they've been kind of trying want to avoid night games. So I know we have 7 inning games now. And
I think,
are they going to do like 30 minutes after the game ends, just like run back out there?
yeah,
Or
they,
what?
they do pretty quickly. Like I said, there were a lot of doubleheaders today with inclement weather. There was a lot of inclement weather across the country yesterday. So like between like the Phillies and the Mets, and I think the
Mhm.
Mariners and the Orioles, there were 2 doubleheaders, and like
But
I
they
don't
did
know,
the opposite almost. They started like at
it's like
4.
4 and 7. It's like they're like really good and just
Yeah.
like I remember seeing like a game ending at like 6:30, and you see a 7 o'clock first pitch, and you check the
Mhm.
score at 7:30, and it seemed like they started pretty much on time. So it's a 1 p.m. So it'll be a noon game for them.
Noon.
Probably be like a noon.
7 inning game. You could
Yeah,
probably
like three.
you probably pencil in a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
3 local times. So like I know they want people off the streets there. So I'll probably around like 5:30 can get people going home. So
yeah. So again, double dip tomorrow. We'll see how they do. That's probably the biggest test of a winning streak, having a double header, because it's tough
yeah,
to win both.
those are gonna be.
Uh,
I'm loving the matchups tomorrow. I think it's Avaldi Maeda at the start, and then Rodriguez
nice.
Barrios.
Let's have it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be good. I know we kind of want to go around the league a little bit. I I caught this one too, and happy that our guy Don Diego was able to call another no hitter with Joe Musgrove, a great outing, obviously, uh, for the Padres to get their first ever no hitter.
Yeah, I mean, it was a against the Rangers. I was right on that. I don't think they're going to be good this year, but nothing to take away from him. But Joe Musgrove was able to come in and kind of stabilize. I mean, even this week, they're playing another Lowell team and the Pirates, and they've had Darvish and Snell going back to back, and they haven't looked too well these past weeks. So it's good. It was good to have a nice like stabilizing start on Friday to get them a nice win, sitting at 8-3 in the West, but still not in first because the Dodgers are just too good.
Well, I was just looking to see the Red Sox record compared across the league, and I was like, well, there's 2 teams the Padres and the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But yeah, great to see that. Like you said, I think it's funny too. I think you show me that they've just run the table on the Rangers ever since the Fernando Tatis 3-0 pitch home run last year.
Yeah, it was like that pitch, like only won by 10 runs, and then it was like 2 grand slams, walk-off grand slam, and then just like no hit, and then like lost by 10 runs again. It was like when it was close, they were getting walked off on, or they're getting blowout or no hit. It was just a brutal stretch for them.
Oh my god! But yeah, that was great to see again. Joe Musgrove getting the no hitter there. Okay. Transition to the next topic here, Mike. I went back and forth a few times that I won't pick in my fantasy draft, and I am very very happy with my decision to go with Ronald Acuna Jr. because he's been absolutely tearing it up this year.
Yeah, I think he's off to a pretty hard start in like 480 with like 4 home runs and like 8 RBIs. So
yeah,
pretty
and he's electric.
Yeah, yeah. He tagged up on a little fly out to second base yesterday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I did. And he seems to be getting into it like playfully, obviously, when he's on second with both Gene Segura and Jazz Chisholm. So he's kind of getting chummy on second base. So he's probably racking up the doubles there. So, but no, he's been great to start the year, and he's obviously one of those guys that can do it all as far as hitting for power, the speed, defense, all that stuff. So, real fun guy to watch, and happy to have him on Da Sound Machine, my new fantasy baseball team name. So,
yeah, and the pretty wild game on Sunday night too, with the whole phantom plate touch by Alec Bohm or whatever.
Yeah. So a wild ending on Sunday night as well. But yeah, great start to the year for Ronnie Acuna, and we kind of mentioned this already, but Dodgers are just being the Dodgers.
Yeah, they took care of business against the Nationals. Had a really good pitchers duel between. It's good to see someone some of these games with those expectations. It was a Kershaw, Scherzer, especially with nothing against these guys. They're getting a little up there in age, so sometimes you're like, at least one of them might be due for a kind of a setback, especially with how loaded both those offenses are. Even if they are a little shorthanded out in LA, like the big names of. Like you got
Mookie.
Mookie and Bellinger being out, but even like you got
Soto. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Oh, you're saying okay, my bad.
Like even now, so you got Soto on one end, and then still a pretty loaded lineup. Like even McKinstry Seager, McKinstry's hitting home runs for them now in the place. So
yeah,
another dominant series won by them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that was again kind of the big notes for the weekend. Mike, I know did you have any more bullet points here for a baseball minute here?
Yeah, so I was gonna go quickly around the league with Tampa Bay. So like now the Red Sox are with a 2-game lead in the East early, which is nice because they kind
Wrap
of
it up.
yeah, the Orioles have struggled since that sweep. Toronto is like their offense hasn't really been there. It's some bad luck in the outfield with Springer being out and Teoscar Hernandez not being on the COVID list. Then the
Mhm.
Yankees almost got swept by the Rays, but they really got a Rougned Odor extra innings hit to avoid the sweep. So a lot of
Who
beating
looks
up,
very strange these days, by the way.
yeah, with no beard, looks like a child. So
Yeah,
that's
thanks
kind
to
of what's going
Yankees.
on in the East. So I mean, I'll take a 2-game lead early on if I'm a Sox fan because I think
Let's
yeah, the big story in the AL East has been the Red Sox with JD Martinez and Rafael Devers being kind of the two hottest players. Player of the week, JD Martinez, I have to say.
yes, yeah.
And then
Yeah.
a lot of parity on the Central. I actually have one on right now, and as expected, it's a nice in the fourth inning, a 0-0 game between probably two of my favorite pitchers in the MLB, Lucas Giolito and Shane Bieber. So
How's it starting?
like I said
That's a
it's 0-0 right now. It's either the end of the fourth or the mid fourth. So
okay, cool.
just a great game to have on. And
I'm a
then
little partial to Giolito also on Dust Machine.
Giolito on one team, Bieber on the other, and then
Just got a nice pitcher stool here.
I
Yeah.
have Karinchak and Hendricks too. So like, I need a 1-0 win with one guy getting a save.
All right. Let's take that.
Yeah, so it's a lot of parity in there. I gotta say, the Royals might be a little fun this year. Their offense is sneaky good. And then speaking of offenses being good, I know we're playing the Twins right now, but we have to shout out both Byron Buxton and Nelson Cruz.
Buxton, another one of my guys. Yeah, he's been great. I mean, he's someone I've always known that the gloves there. One of the best defenders in the outfield in the game. But bringing the bat this year for sure. And like you said, Nelly Cruz still getting it done at his age.
Yeah, Byron Buxton has 469 with 5 dingers. So
yeah, he's been tearing it up.
Yeah, and Nelson Cruz at like the rape age of like 41, I believe, and 444. So that's kind of the main story out there. And then we talked about the lowly Rangers on the West, but it's kind of been the Angels and their high-powered offense led by Trout and Ohtani off to a hot start out there, holding off the nice pitching of the Astros and the Mariners, believe it or not, are 6-4.
Even without Kyle Lewis too.
Yeah. So that's that. And then
who's the new guy there?
Taylor Trammell. Yeah, Taylor Trammell. Yeah. So that outfield's looking good with Trammell, want to get Kyle Lewis back, and what's his name? Jarrett Klenick coming out from the minors.
Yeah.
So that should be a pretty fun outfield. Looking forward to that. I'm not gonna. And then was former Eagle in the rotation, Justin Dunn.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, part of the whatchamacallit trade, the Edwin Diaz trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a good time to flip over to the NL East. We said the Phillies on top. The Braves kind of struggling, only at 4-6. The Nats got swept, and we got to talk about the Mets. They're the most exhilarating team. They've had 2 wins and walk-offs. One where Michael Conforto was just sticking his elbow.
Oh, the elbow in, yeah.
And then today in the game with the doubleheader, we'll get some theatric victory at the end. So Frank going wild.
Nice. I'll have to catch that.
Yeah, and then they just don't score for Jacob DeGrom. He has like a .04 ERA in their own.
Oh, no, why would they?
So
yeah, that continues.
That's good. I think that's gonna be a wild division because Philly's good, but I do see the Mets or the Braves coming up to bite them.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna jump to the West. We already talked about the dominance between the Dodgers and the Padres, and then even the Giants hanging around just because they swept the Rockies over the weekend, and then finally went at the Central. The Reds, man, they're 7-3. Did not expect them to do a good start. I think
no.
My former, usually on the other Ohio team, Tyler Naquin out of nowhere, former Cleveland.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Now it's just randomly has 5 dingers for them. So if they can just get the pitching, I mean, they have nice 69 runs to start the year. So if they get the pitching to hold off the Brewers and the Cardinals, that could be a pretty fun race out there in the Central, led by especially the Brewers. They're getting some good pitching out of nowhere. I know I was kind of crapping on them in the preview between Woodruff Burns and Freddie Peralta, who had 14 Ks last night. So should be some fun time. So clearly I'm really more into baseball than anything right now because I definitely brought a lot to the table there.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, like I said, and that's good to have this time of year. Like I said, it's kind of like again we're into three sports right now. 2 are getting towards the end. I think once the playoffs start for both, the gears might shift a little bit towards basketball and hockey, but I think especially once you get into All-Star break territory, it becomes very much baseball. Although that's going to overlap with the playoffs now, so
Yeah.
we'll obviously see how that goes. But yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on MLB. See if the Sox can keep their winning ways going here. One football note, though, I know we did a lot of draft talk last week with our guy Dave, so I won't dig too deep there. I know there's been a lot of rumors with the Justin Fields, the Patriots talk, all that. But no, we do have to say we have to salute a legend here, absolute legend of the game. I won't quite get into the Hall of Fame talk now. I think that's I think we all agree that if there was a playoff specific Hall of Fame, it's got to be a first ballot. But I know there's a lot more to it than that. But Julian Edelman called it a career. I think there was a release that was a precursor to his retirement. It did officially retire today. Brady had a very long Instagram post on him, so that was great to see as well. But number 11 hanging it up.
Yeah, got thank you, Jules, for everything. That the fact that you were the only person that could do anything on offense back in the '53 Super Bowl, where you won the MVP. The fact that you somehow caught that freaking football and won, and even just on that run to 53, how many third down catches he had in the KC.
Yeah, that was
just
huge.
going over the middle, just getting hit from the back and holding onto the ball. So a lot of great memories, Jules. Thank you for that pass on the 49.
I was about to say, Mike, the game we were at, saw it live. Probably one of the best plays, one of the most notable plays I've ever seen live. Probably the most notable play I've ever seen live is that double pass to Amendola that locked that up against Baltimore on their run to the Super Bowl 49 victory. Just a guy that truly, I believe, never took a playoff. And there's even clips of I can't remember which run it was in. I think it might have been back in 2012. Again, they won when they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Giants. Of late in the game, we needed someone to cover Anquan Bolden. Edelman was out there playing DB.
I think he was a football player, not a receiver, because the fact that he was doing all that, he was a special teams returner, played quarterback back in college.
Obviously the quarterback in college, yeah. So
just an absolute football guy, and now he can transform into an absolute thirst trap.
Yes, exactly. We'll have to keep working out. Obviously, keep the abs going, get the hot dad life going over there. But no, yeah, absolute warrior did so much for this team, and just great career. I think it was time. Unfortunately, I mean, just like again the injuries and I think it's okay to walk away, Jules. You've proven what you need here.
Yeah, don't need to. I think wasn't like a running joke. It's like, oh, he doesn't get cooking in the playoff game until he gets his first concussion in.
Right. Yeah. He got his bell rung quite a few times there. So, but yeah, again, Julian Edelman hanging it up, calling it a career. And again, one of the best playoff receivers this game's ever seen. And with the retirement there, we do have a few. Again, we do end the show sometimes with some RIPs. Kind of a wide spectrum here. Unfortunately, we had a lot to deal with here. One personal one here. We'll kind of. It's tough because I don't know what order to go in here, Mike. I think there's two that are very I want to end with that are tough, but I think I might have to use a little bias here. But these are all very obviously tragic deaths. First, I'll lead with our guy DMX. Legendary rapper, has some all-time hits out there. I just gonna give it to you, which Xander still uses as walkout music. Party Up. I think of the iconic scene and like Mike. Just remember like bumping to these songs back in the day. And who could forget
Rough Rider anthem on the boat.
Rough Rider, the boat, and Always Sunny. Yeah. And then who can forget just that legendary concert that he put on that I wish I was at. But I somehow wasn't there, even though I think about 3 billion people were there. If you take the right angle of that crowd shot. But just notable fantastic moments from DMX's career, and obviously just gone way too young at the age of 50.
Yeah, it seemed like he had a lot of a really tough job with addiction and recovery. There even has a song where he talks about, I think it's called "Slippin'." If you actually listen to the lyrics, it's like, I don't know, listen to it because there was like there was the premature stories on Thursday night, so I kind of listened to some of his music on Friday.
Yeah.
Hopefully get some good vibes going to get him out of the hospital. But
right.
Good passing on Friday afternoon, so hate to see it.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things where he was like, "What's that, Mike?" Sorry.
I said, but I hate to say it. Rest in peace.
Yeah, no, I think it was one of those things where he was like technically alive, but like it was his heart still beating, but like that's about it. But yeah, so obviously really sad to lose X. Prince Philip, legend of obviously in England there, passing away at 99. So I want to give him a quick shout out there too. I was a big fan of the show Love Island, very UK show, and I saw some of the personalities from that show reaching out. So obviously meant a lot over there across the pond there. So RP to him. Another tragic situation that happened over the weekend, and I know we kind of mentioned it with the twins situation. It's crazy how much is going on there with obviously the George Floyd trial from a year ago. That's
the Derek Chauvin trial.
That's correct, Mike. Yeah, apologies if I just
No,
meant like the.
No, I've heard
just to get people to know exactly what they're talking about. But you're right; that's how it should be worded. He's the one on trial.
I was calling George Floyd trial for a week, and I heard someone say that and pointed out. I'm like, that's very true. So I want to make sure that we had it the right.
Yeah. It's just like one of those things. It's like, oh, that like gets people's attention first. But you're totally right. He's not on trial. He was obviously slain. But yeah, and that's the thing too. And we try not to again go too deep on this stuff here, but. Crazy that we saw it on camera, was living on trial for it, but crazy just also in Minneapolis. Obviously, more happening this weekend here. Again, like I said, they had already scheduled a lot of these games to happen, in the daytime, just to really avoid, any craziness at night with these trials going on. And then, of course, like again, while this is all happening, we have another incident that happened. So, an RP to Dwayne Wright, 20-year-old. Killed also as well, and I know, Mike, we have a lot of family in law enforcement, and I think it's a job where you have to be the best, you have to be perfect at, you know what I mean, like you can't make mistakes like that. And that's kind of, I won't go too deep on it, but obviously a young man losing his life way too young at the age of 20, a father as well, so certainly an RIP there too.
Yeah, two so especially in the Minneapolis region too, so yeah
right, exactly. And I think there's it's obviously a hot topic, but I mean, I think at the very least you have to admit that if we you want to respect people in certain roles, and just to do the job the right way and all that. But and then finally, one more that is quite personal to Mike and I. We did lose our grandmother over the weekend, Bima, as we called her, another legend of the game, 100 years old. Coming up on 101, was going to be in July, but we haven't been able to see her in a long time just because of COVID and everything. And she fought to the end. She made it to triple digits. Really just a person that I think if you met anyone you hear, like if you met her once or twice, you remembered her, and she made herself known, had great jokes and everything, and really just, I think, loved being around the family. Obviously our grandfather passed away almost over 20 years ago now, so it was kind of just her. And 20 years. Yeah, exactly. So spent a lot of time at our house, at our aunt's house. So it just seemed like someone who was always around. And, from my kind, that was the last one we had. So obviously another reason to be sad about that. But, again, at the very least, we know that she lived a very, about as long as life as you can ask for, complete with a lot of family and a lot of love and everything. And obviously sad to see her go.
Yeah, no, it's happy to think she lived a full life, and we all know the last year probably wasn't the best for her. Kind of just struggling in the bed. Could really see my mom and our aunt like once a week. So you like to think she's at peace, but I'll always remember, like you said, the Sundays or the weekends when she was at our house, or if we went to our aunt's, and of course summers down at the beach. So I can just know she loved her family and always had an impact on our events. Like even the fact that like all my friends like knew her, like knew how funny she was.
Right, same, yeah.
So and I'm happy. Like even once I got my license, it was like how to drive people home, but like it wasn't like a bad thing. It was just like a nice, quick.
It was a nice one-on-one time. Yeah.
Shoot across the city, and even I would like end up even when I was at college. Like if I went home for Sunday and she was there, it was nice and easy. Like just to drop her off halfway through my ride back to Waltham at Bentley.
Yeah.
It's nice, like 20 minutes with her, 20 minutes by myself, and a late Sunday night drive. So good memories. So
yeah, absolutely, and yeah, exactly, and just unfortunate because of the whole situation. Not being able to have a lot of full ceremonies. It also rained a little bit, so with the grace that we couldn't say too many words. And just something else I wanted to really just say while we're on here, as just also dropping her off, Mike. I don't know if you like, anytime she ran into someone she even remotely knew, and well, first of all, she seemed to know everyone, whether it's she never met them, she said hi, and if she did know them, it was I don't know if you got this too, but just always like, oh, this is my grandson. It's like, I'm happy to like show me off or show
Yeah,
you off. You know
in
what I
the
mean? Just
elevator
like
in the
that
building.
pride.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that pride, and that was really really cool. And again, we say it's the long full life and everything. It's just, but you're obviously never ready to let go, and these things are always hard. But that's again the one consolation here is that knowing that she did again make it to 100, and like I said, that's pretty far these days for humans. So yeah, like I said, rest in peace. We love you, and shout out to my mom and aunt as well. They had to do a lot over the last 20 years, really, especially the last year or so, and wrapping up the last week. I know it's a tough loss for them too, but just hopefully time for them to, if there's one takeaway here, just to have some time to relax and take care of themselves as well. So not the best weekend. Like I said, we had to do that. A lot of the stuff was yesterday, but good to be around some of our family and everything. But I had to wrap up the show with again some RPs. I think it was just fitting to end with her. So again, not to end too somber here, but yeah, that's just kind of how I had to end that here, and again, just RPs across the board. But thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm seeing that my connection is unstable again. Hopefully that doesn't affect anything here. It just pops up on my computer, Mike. I don't know if you get that too much, but
everything came in crystal clear, so we're good here.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome. But yeah, so again, we had a bit of a long layoff here leading into today's show, coming off the Masters, but we're kind of in, like I said, the final month or so for basketball and hockey. We're just getting things started for MLB. We have the draft coming up in a few weeks, so that'll be exciting. We'll be back sometime this weekend, Saturday or Sunday. We'll see whatever works out with our schedules. So we'll be back at some point to talk more about what's going on with the Bruins and Celtics this week. See if the Red Sox just keep winning, and obviously taking a look at the broad spectrum of all these sports, and obviously if any other big news comes up. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Mike, any final thoughts?
Nope, I'm just starting to feel the arm now.
Just started video. So yeah, you might have to ice that baby. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll be back this weekend.
All right, see you guys.